Hey guys, this is George, your favorite registered nurse, travel trotter, fashion fiend, and foodie. This year alone, there was so many surprises in the world of fashion. We had the first collection for Balenciaga by Pier Paolo Pacioli. We had Demna's presentation for Gucci. Mathieu Blaze's Chanel came out, which was great. Donatella Versace stepping down at Versace as chief creative officer. Giorgio Armani passing away, rest in peace. Victoria's Secret televised runway show had its triumphant return. But there are some really more crazy things happening. So the luxury market is on a spiral downward, in my opinion. The global economy is also not looking good, and it feels like every now and then we are on the brink of World War III, honestly. All of these events are slowly hurting the majority of luxury labels. But let's talk about what I think are the two luxury labels that have the most uncertain future, in my opinion. Are you ready for it, honey? All right, so the celebrity beauty market is crowded, to say the least. A lot of people say it is just an easy cash grab, and it really is. Honestly, what makes the celebrity fragrance or cosmetics line profitable is essentially the high profit margins. The cost to produce a lipstick is about $5, less than $5, honestly. However, when you attach that lipstick to a celebrity, make the packaging look so dope and beautiful, you can upcharge that lipstick anywhere from like $30 to $50. Or for Louis Vuitton, I think they're selling theirs for like $150 or something crazy. Anyway, it's a huge return. You don't think celebrities and their teams don't know that? Of course they do. That's probably why every celebrity and their mother has their own fragrance or beauty line. Dua Lipa just came out with hers. I don't know if it hit the shelves yet, but she's doing promo. I've seen it. But starting a celebrity beauty brand is easy. Like making it a successful brand and having it survive the test of time is another story. Because for every successful celebrity beauty brand, like, you know, the top of the totem pole, you have Rare by Selena Gomez, Rhode by Hailey Bieber and Kylie Cosmetics. There's like a million other ones that are not as successful, or they were successful at one time, but they just fell from grace, basically. For every Rhode, Rare, and Kylie Cosmetics, there are a dozen other beauty brands that flopped, and some of them flopped really hard. Drew Barrymore's Flower Beauty is in talks to close down very soon. Jessica Simpson's Desserts failed back in the day. 29 Palms by Jared Leto, which has not been out for that long, is probably going to close down soon. Item Beauty, co-founded by Addison Rae, was removed by Sephora in 2023, and Kesha Rose Beauty by Kesha is no longer. But even like the successful celebrity beauty brands are not totally safe either. Rihanna's Fenty Beauty is a trailblazer when it comes to celebrity beauty brands. Last year, it generated about $450 million in net sales, and it is valued anywhere from $1 to $2 billion. What made it so successful is that it had shades for people of color. When it first launched, it had about 40 shades of makeup trying to cater to all skin types. It was inclusive. The products itself are great, in my opinion. As someone who continually comes back to Fenty Beauty, I think that their SPF line is fantastic. And with a big name like Rihanna attached to the product, she's a global superstar. Like, what could go wrong? The problem is Rihanna owns half of the company, and the other half is owned by luxury powerhouse LVMH. And right now, LVMH is having some issues, and they're trying to streamline their own portfolio at this point. LVMH themselves, who own a ton of luxury brands, is hurting as well because of the slowing of economic growth, the drop in consumer spending, and people are just more cautious about buying luxury brands right now. Fenty has been successful for LVMH, but it has seen a slowdown in momentum. It also does not help that Rihanna's Fenty fashion line closed down in 2021. Fenty Beauty may no longer be seen as a key element in LVMH's portfolio when it comes to brand profit and making money. It's kind of like a juxtapose, right? Because Fenty is built on attainability It's an attainable, aspirational brand. It's accessible, but it's still, in my opinion, a luxury cosmetic brand. It's authentic, it's inclusive, it fits for any woman. It's still expensive, but you're not going to break the bank if you buy some Fenty products. But the problem is that is not really what LVMH stands for. LVMH owns brands like Dior, Fendi, Louis Vuitton, Moet, and these brands are not the type of brands that are being frequented by the normal person, especially in this economy. You know, middle America is not going to Dior, Tiffany's, and Fendi's every weekend to do a shopping spree. That's just, it doesn't happen like that. LVMH does not reach out to that consumer either. There's rumblings that Fenty and LVMH are parting ways because of creative differences. Nothing is certain because neither LVMH or Rihanna have put out an official statement. Another Reddit user said, quote, "Their earlier launches were really cool and innovative, but the brand hasn't done anything interesting in a long time," end quote. And that is like the name of the game, right? Like, you have to keep reinventing yourself, keep things interesting. You know, it's any market. It's the automobile sector, it's the technology sector, it's a sports sector. You have to keep innovating as a company or you'll be left in the dust. Another big thing is that brands like Selena Gomez's Rare, Kylie Cosmetics, and Hailey Bieber's Rhode, they are taking away market shares from Fenty Beauty. Another Reddit user said, "My predictions is that it will become a down market brand sold at either Target or Walmart," end quote. Yikes. It's giving Blake Brown, honey. That is definitely what you don't want your company to do, especially a company like Fenty who's been at the top of like the cosmetics pedestal. You know, you don't want to see your company trickle down to some casual corner a la The Devil Wears Prada.
Trickle down into some tragic casual corner.
If you don't have the backing of a high profile conglomerate like LVMH behind you, who has basically unlimited resources, you could just end up like a drugstore brand like at Walgreens, which could be really crazy. There is press around this topic, and like I said before, LVMH and Rihanna have yet to put out an official statement to what is going on, so we're just going to have to see how this pans out. The rise and fall of Marc Jacobs should be studied, honestly. Marc Jacobs is one of the most influential designers of our time. He first burst onto the scene in 1993 with his iconic grunge collection for Perry Ellis. He redefined American fashion and 90s style. But what I remember him mostly for is his 16-year tenure at Louis Vuitton. Everyone's like Nicolas Gasquet for Louis Vuitton, and Nicolas Gasquet has done amazing things for Louis Vuitton, but in my opinion, Louis Vuitton would not be where it is today without Marc Jacobs. It was Marc Jacobs who introduced ready-to-wear to the Louis Vuitton brand and helped create, in my opinion, the most legendary collaborations with Louis Vuitton, which was first and foremost the Murakami collab. That was so iconic. I will never forget, I was in Las Vegas at the Caesars Forum Shops with my family, my first time in Vegas, and I saw the J-Lo ad in the Murakami Louis Vuitton, and I just felt those ads were just like so unforgettable. They're so iconic. It was J-Lo at her prime. The LV brand, like, youthful with all the different colors. Like, it was just like something that like was never done before. LV discontinued the multicolor bags in 2015, but just reintroduced it with ads featuring Zendaya. I felt like Marc Jacobs never should have left Louis Vuitton after 16 years, but he did in order to focus on his namesake brand. In 2001, Marc Jacobs created a diffusion line called Marc by Marc Jacobs, a more affordable brand under his top tier brand that was Marc Jacobs. It's kind of like that meme where it's like you see the tote bag and it's like Marc by Marc Jacobs for Marc Jacobs by Marc Jacobs. But in 2015, Marc by Marc Jacobs ended up closing down. There's so many factors why that happened, and one is the competition was just so crazy, in my opinion. Back in the day, that mid-tier attainable luxury section was just crowded. It was just so crowded. And when I mean mid-tier, I mean the fashion segment that is not quite as expensive up here, like Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Hermes, and it's not that cheap in the bottom like Fossil or Kipling, which I don't really think those are cheap brands either. But that middle market was being controlled by brands like Michael Kors, Kate Spade, Coach, Tory Burch. Those type of brands were, once again, taking away business from Marc by Marc Jacobs. And that's one of the reasons that I feel like Marc by Marc Jacobs had to close down. Fast forward, the unthinkable is about to happen, and LVMH is going to sell Marc Jacobs. So no deal has yet to be finalized though. The potential sale is about $1 billion, which in my opinion is a shame because like the last Marc Jacobs runways have been out of control, like very well done, beautifully done. There's such a vision that he has, but it doesn't matter. And people are not buying luxury goods as they used to, and they're not spending the money that they were spending for Marc Jacobs as they were in the past. LVMH is cutting down the fat in their portfolio basically and getting away from the brands that are not making them money. What it's looking like is that the potential buyer for Marc Jacobs will possibly be ABG, which is the Authentic Brands Group, which is a group that owns Nautica, Aeropostale, Nine West, Roxy, and Champion. Yikes. All right, guys, that is my spiel. You know, it's a tough crowd right now for the luxury market. You know, like you really have to do some persuading. You really have to put out some amazing stuff right now because like the economy is just not there. You know, the middle class in China are not spending what they used to, and people are weary of spending their money for, you know, lavish things right now. LVMH, they're going to sell Fenty most likely, their 50% share. It's just a matter of time before Marc Jacobs is going to be sold. They're going to reach an agreement, I'm sure. They already sold Off-White post Virgil. I mean, Off-White just isn't what it used to be. It's not the same caliber. It's not the same vision as it was when Virgil was there. There's also gossip that rival Kering, which is another conglomerate that owns Gucci, Bottega Veneta, YSL, and Balenciaga. Kering is also looking to sell McQueen. Yikes. Kering also agreed recently to sell their whole beauty unit to L'Oreal for almost $5 billion. This comes as Kering right now has a debt of $10 billion at the end of June. So just like LVMH, they are looking to streamline their portfolio. It's a shame though, because I hope that Fenty can see a way out of this, because I don't want them to, you know, go so low in their quality, because I do enjoy some of their product. Marc Jacobs as well. So leave a comment on what you think the future of Marc Jacobs and Fenty is going to be. Tell me if you have any of your favorite products from Fenty that you bought or Marc Jacobs. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you soon. Bye.